Hello everybody, welcome to My Hero Academia, chapter 342 review. This chapter is titled, The Extreme Quiet Before the Storm. Now, it's been a while since I've done these My Hero reviews, but last time we had chapter 341, the time we all became heroes, part -1, where we focused on the villains before the whole final arc in the whole big fight between everybody. And this time, we start at the UA High evacuee residential area, where we see a lot of people just moving around, doing their daily lives. There are robots carrying boxes around, and people just walking through. When we see a man with a sort of like bowl cut walking around, and he's looking around all shadily, and he passes a woman, and he says, "We've got new orders." And the lady says, "Go on." And he says, "You know who anticipated that as evacuees here, we wouldn't be able to act freely." He says, "Fan the flames, rally the disconnected faction that's been keeping quiet and laying in wait. UA is aware that Tomer Shigaraki will be operational in less than a week. The school knows of the impending danger for keeping it from the common people. So fan the flames until that fortress is once again an unstoppable place for Izuku Midoriya." And during this, we see him talking. And we see it cut over to a few people who I don't think we've seen before, but it's like they're skeptics. They're just like, they don't want to understand what's going on. We see a very creepy panel of All For One sitting there with a big toothed grin. But then we cut over to the student dorms as we see Kaminari just passing out onto the floor and saying, "I'm pooped. The search area is just too big. There's so few heroes left to help. It's a serious problem." And we see that they're taking, as the chapter says, a temporary break from the search effort. And we see Ida there. And Ida says, "Bedtime friends on the double. Our greatest strength is youth, so our every action should fuel what's to come." As Bakugo in the background is like, "They told us to get stronger, though." And during this, we also see Mineta walk up to Deku. And Mineta says, "I wish we even had a little time to swap dirty stories." And Deku says, "I don't know about the dirty part, but yeah, I get it." There's barely been any time to talk, as Deku looks over to Uraraka, who is talking with, Acid Girl, Pinky, Mina Ashido? Yeah, that's the name. There's too many characters in My Hero. Too much of a main cast. World Trigger is still much more terrible about that. But while Deku is looking at Uraraka, he just thinks whenever Uraraka made the proclamation from on top of the UA building and what she did. And Deku thinks, I haven't been able to thank her properly. As Deku starts to say something, All Might busts in and says, "I am here, just like every day." And Jiro says, "What's up? You're full of energy, I see." And All Might says, "Just the opposite." Sugar Man says, "Detective Tsukiyuchi, the principal too?" Bomo says, "Does this concern the situation with Aoyama?" And All Might says it's about what comes next. We're only informing select individuals for now. It's time to discuss our final plans for the second pivotal war. And now, for the next 2 pages, we really flash around to a bunch of things. We look at the destroyed city. We look at Hawks, Genus, and Endeavor talking to Ragdoll, who had a search quirk, of course. And we just see Best Genus fixing his hair, and Endeavor looking at some notes, which is probably about the final plan. We see Aizawa looking at Kurogiri, the person who obviously used to be Shirakumo. And we see Aoyama just sitting in a prison cell, just not knowing what to do. So we cut back to the 1A dorms, and we see Bakugo, Todoroki, and then Deku. And then we flash back to the next day. And it's interesting, because we hear people just talking and saying, "Did you hear the principal's announcement this morning? Yeah, Apparently, Tomoe Shigaraki is going to make a big move in just 4 days. As we see the guy from earlier, the one with the bowl cut, just looking like, what? They admitted to it? Why? I can't fan the flames like this. And we see Class 1A standing there and saying, we'd like to thank you for everything. And we see the little kid, Koda, from the training arc in the woods, say, Midoriya, you're really leaving the school again? And he's like, yes, you've given me more than enough downtime to clean up myself. Then we see, oh geez, what's this hero's name? The Sniper Cowboy dude. It'll come to me back as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm sure. But he says, you folks, safety's the goal we're all shooting for. So all we're asking is you right here in the frame of mind to go with the evac system. And the dude with the bowl cut is just looking and he says, these honest fools. They could have made the big man's life so much harder by shutting their traps and keeping the boy protected here. We didn't plan it this way, but our mission is sure to succeed. This way, our future is guaranteed. And we see Deku hugging his mom, Todoroki saying bye to his mom and his brother and sister. We just see a bunch of people just going around, Uraraka talking with her family and Jiro talking with hers. We see the old recovery ladies there talking with Nezu. We see Eri and President Mike there also. Bakugo getting scolded by his parents. And Deku talking with Eri and Koda, along with the people who were against Deku at first, but Uraraka changed her mind, the Starhead dude. And we also see the big animal lady shaking hands with Shoji. So sure, yeah. But then we see 30 kilometers from UA, makeshift fortress, Troy. And it is pretty much a new dorm that the UA people set up just so the Class 1A kids could have a place to stay. And they simply call it your home away from home. And it was built by Cementos, Power Loader, and Ectoplasm. It can't hold a candle to UA itself, but it's sturdy enough. The sniper dude says, now toss in your cargo in new rooms and get in gear. And they're just like, wow, it's almost the same. But it's just so much better in a way. And they're going into the rooms, and Deku looks outside and sees Uraraka looking off a cliff, being that this place is on a cliff. And Deku jumps down out of his windows, presumably having full Cali on and all of the quirks active. He's got to at this point. And Uraraka's like, oh, Deku. And Deku says, are you all unpacked? And Uraraka says, yeah, I hardly brought anything. And Deku says the same, I just brought some spare clothes. As they're standing there, and Deku says, Uraraka, thank you for what you did. I'm sorry I couldn't find a moment to say anything till now, but thank you, I mean it. And Uraraka says, no, that was nothing, you never change, huh? Always sweating the small stuff. And Deku says, so what are you doing out here? Uraraka says, I'm just looking at the city. She says, I'm kind of weird. And Deku says, weird? You're not weird. You're strong and brave. With a hair that's perfect for you. Not to mention honest and kind. And Uraraka's like, that's not what I meant. Back there, when I was shouting from the top of UA, out of nowhere, dots of Himiko Toga popped in my head. We fought, just me and her during Gigantamaki's rampage. She said something and I fired back with stuff I thought was obvious. Stuff I take for granted. She looked so sad hearing that. Look what they did to the city. She's a villain who helped them snuff out people's lives, their happiness. The thought of just forgiving her, we're way past that. But of course, I know that, but still, she's a person too, and I have no clue what's obvious for her, like what she takes for granted. I got to thinking about how I don't know the first thing about Himiko Toga. So yeah, I'm just out here taking a gander at the city. So I'll never forget the horrors I saw that day, and to keep those weird, silly thoughts out of my head. And Deku says, same. I mean, I saw a little boy inside of Shigaraki. He was crying. Maybe there's no way to avoid a battle, but I can't ignore what I saw deep inside him. And then Uraraka says, well, I guess both of us are kinda weird. And then we cut to Todoroki's room, where it looks like we have Bakugo, Hiroshima, and Ida in there. And Ida says, I too have an older brother. As Todoroki says, hey, cut it out. There's no comparing our families. Heck, I don't even know Toya's favorite food. And Bakugo says, it's got to be piping hot udon. As Shoto Todoroki, he says, yeah, in that case, I'll make him sit down for a bowl with me. And I think it's meant to say that he says it, and sort of Uraraka and Deku think it too. As we cut back outside where Uraraka and Deku are saying, and they said, we'll put a stop to them for sure. And then we cut to, I guess, 4 days in the future, where we're on the day of the operation, as All for One says, shall we? And it looks like next chapter we will be getting the beginning of the true arc. This is the final chapter of the in-between phase in a way, just showing that UA is pulling a move, being honest with the people and saying, hey, yeah, Shigaraki's going to attack in 4 days, one of the most powerful villains ever in this country. The man who beat Star and Stripe. I mean, New Order was a crazy powerful quirk. And also the whole thing of Deku and Class 1A leaving and now going to their new dorms. And then there's that nice emotional moment at the end with Deku and Uraraka where you really just get to understand what they're really thinking and just why they want to win, but they don't feel like it's always the right thing to do. But that's going to be it for this chapter of My Hero Academia. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.